Hey everybody, Glenn here again with another CSG, call it grade reveal video. You can see I've already opened up the box. I already knew what they were before they came back, so no sense in pretending. This is my first order back actually after the new year. This particular batch of cards, I've got 16 of them here. I got these back a little bit early, actually. I was supposed to get them back in 47 days, I think was what the turnaround time was on standard when I sent them in. It dropped down to like 30 shortly after I sent them in, and then I think it ended up coming back to me 35 business days is when they shipped back, which again, I think that had to do with the 5 extra days for subgrades, which I think is a total crock, but neither here nor there. They got them back in time as far as I'm concerned, actually a little bit ahead of time considering when I sent them. So we'll start off the new year here with a 16 card order. This is all vintage. Got some lower grades than I anticipated. Got some interesting, we'll call it resubs over here that we'll go through at the end. But I think this will be a good learning experience. I'm going to start making some more grading videos with vintage cards, trying to come up with, learn, from what I've been submitting up to this point, because I'm relatively new to vintage, to try to make sure I've got a better sense of what I'm going to be getting when I send them in the future. I've got a pretty good grip on modern, ultra modern cards. I can tell pretty much when I send a card in whether it's going to jump in or not. With vintage, I'm still kind of learning because I just got into it. So we'll go through these and see how we did. So first off, actually, I think I got these. Yeah, we're going to start lowest to highest, and then we're going to save the cracks and subs for the end. Just to kind of show you, let's see how CSG grades in comparison to other people. I think you'll find the results pretty surprising. So anyways, let's get started. So the first card here, everybody knows or should know that's watched my videos before. I am trying to build sets. Wow, that really got screwed up there. I'm trying to build sets of the 1950s Browns cards. So as I get them, I'm sending them in. So the first card here is a 1950 Bowman Tony Adamle rookie card. So you can see here I got an 8 on centering, corners got a 6, edges got an 8, and surface got a 4.5. So because of that, that kept me down to a 4. Now, I didn't notice this when I sent it in, but I do notice it now. I'm going to try to get this to focus in on it there. You can kind of see like a print line, for lack of a better term, right across there. Let's see if I can get that to focus in. There we go. You can see it kind of starting underneath his chin there and running across. So I think that's what killed me on the surface grade, unfortunately. So that ended up driving the grade. I would have probably ended up with around at least a full grade higher, with the edges being what got, or the corners, I'm sorry, being got me next. So overall, I'm fairly happy with that. I was hoping for a little bit better. But again, I'm just starting to get into vintage, so I'm still kind of learning what to look for. And I didn't notice that, so I can't really be too upset, considering there's clearly an issue there that I just missed. So with that being said, that's the first card. Okay, so second card up, we got a 1952 small Dub Jones. Again, got a 5. This one ended up getting a 8 on centering, 5 on corners, 6 on surface, and 4.5 on edges. So a couple different ones got me on this one. And I can kind of see on the back here, again, now that I've got these back, I can kind of see why they got what they got. This one you can see there's a little bit of wax staining here on the back, and doing a little bit more research into the grading criteria, that's clearly not okay. The corners were a little bit, we'll call it rough on this one, so I'm not really overly surprised with the grade I got on the corners. And the edges, now that I see the card back and I know what this upgrade is, I can see why it got that. So overall, I'm satisfied with the grade. Obviously, was hoping I'd have got better when I sent it in, but now that I have got it back and see what I missed, I agree with the grade. So got a 5, excellent, on the Dub Jones 1952 small. Next one up, we have another 1952 small. This one I got a 6 on. This is a Walt Michaels. This one I bought off eBay. You can see here, surface was the one that killed me. And I'm not 100% sure. This does have a pretty decent sized wax stain on the back. Kind of hard to see there in the light, but running right through there, there's a decent wax stain. Pretty mild. I guess there's a little bit over here. So that's probably what got me based on their criteria. So other than that, corners also got a 5.5. And yeah, now that I look at it, there's a little bit of a bend down here on this. Oh, wow, that looked terrible on the video. Yeah, you can kind of see it right there. There's a little bit of a bend on that bottom corner. So that's really what got me on this one. So again, learning, but this one, agree with the grade as I take a closer look at it. Again, this is part of the reason why I like getting the subs, because it helps me identify what I need to be looking for when I submit future cards. So again, next one up, I got another 1952. This one's a Dante Lavelli. I knew this one had a defect on it before I sent it, but I was curious to see how much of an impact it would have on it. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to show you here and actually get it to focus in. I'll give it a shot. But in this, right in this area right here, there's actually, yeah, you're not going to be able to see it. I'm even having a hard time seeing it. But anyways, on this particular card, right down here in this area, I bought this at actually a local card show. And I didn't notice it when I bought it. I noticed it as I was getting it prepped to send in for grading. There was a little bit of a ripple. You can kind of see it going through to the back. If I can get that light right. Yeah, right there. Right there. You can kind of see it a little bit. And it does go through to the front. And it's actually pretty significant. So I wanted to see what it would do. It brought the surface grade all the way down to an 4.5, which sucks. Because the reason I bought this was if you look at all the other subgrades, it looks amazing. 9.5 on centering, 8 on corners, and 8.5 on edges. So that one grade just really killed this card. So overall, it's actually an extremely nice card, with the exception of that one subgrade. So that's unfortunate. But overall, I'm happy with that. Like I said, I knew, and now I know moving forward, if there's any kind of marks like that, it's going to drag me down to a 4.5. So it's really going to really impact the overall score. Next one up, we have another 1952. This one, a John Sandusky small. I actually purchased this one from the same buyer on eBay that sold me this one. You can see they both got about the same grade. So I guess I kind of know what to expect, at least from that particular seller, when buying cards from them. So this one got a 9 on centering, 5.5 on corners, 5 on edges, and 6 on surface. So it kind of ran the gamut, so to speak. Now again, see the wax staining on the back here. I now know, looking at their criteria, that pretty much any wax staining is going to drop the surface grade pretty significantly. So I need to keep an eye out for that as I'm buying more vintage cards, because it's clear that that's going to have a pretty significant impact on the overall grade that these cards get. And now that I know that, I'll definitely keep an eye out for it more moving into the future. Especially when I'm trying to get higher grades, obviously, on 5.5, I know. Now this one in particular, the edges and the corners would have held it down anyways. But still, pretty satisfied with that. Again, these older cards, they're so old. I mean, these cards are 1952, so they're, now officially 70 years old. So even a 5.5 to me is not terrible. So again, here's another 5.5. This one's a 1952 George Ratterman. See, corners and edges got me on this one as well. And the corners are pretty rough on this one, so I can't really say too much. Surface and got an 8, and the centering only got a 6, which, yeah, the centering is quite a bit off on this one. You will notice that there's no wax staining on the back. So difference between wax stain and no wax stain. Obviously this one got an 8 on surface, so overall not too upset about that. They do put these in a little bit thicker sleeve or thicker case. These are those ones that are slightly bigger than the normal anytime you have an undersized card like this. So that's, you can see it, they're pushing into these sleeves pretty tight, which actually I don't care because I really like that. But just so you understand why they're that tight fitting is because these are just a tad bit thicker than a normal one. Not the upcharged $5 thick one, but the slightly thicker one that they'll decide on their own whether they're going to put it in there or not. Okay, so this next one, now we're getting into my 1951 submissions. So this first one up is a Max Speedy 1951. This one got an 8 on centering, 6 on corners, 7.5 on edges, and a 6 on surface. On the back, yeah, there you go. See it again. You got the wax staining, down here and over here. And then we actually got some up here by his name as well. So the wax staining getting me on the surface again. And then the corners on this one are also a little beat up. So overall, I'm pretty satisfied with this one. I knew it was imperfect when I sent it in. So I'll take a 6 on this one. Not overly surprised by that. Happy with the grade. Again, 1951 card. Next 1951 up, we have a Alex Agasse, or Agasse, I think is how you pronounce it. This one, centering killed it. You can see here, I don't even know why I bother sending this in now that I look at it. So got a 5.5 on centering, 7.5 on corners, 7 on edges, and 8 on surface. So overall, it did really well. If it had just been centered better, obviously would have got a better grade. So I don't mind these though. That's again another reason why I like getting subgrades, is to me, having this particular card, okay, yeah, the centering is off pretty significantly. Now, I could have probably sent this to PSA and got the old OC qualifier on it, which I think is a bunch of crap. But I don't want to do that. But, I mean, to me, you can see here that this is a pretty high quality card. Really a near mint minus, near mint with the exception of that centering. So I prefer to just get the genuine grade regardless of, it is off center, so it's a 6. Next one up for 51. You'll notice a trend. All my 51s got 6s. So we got a Dub Jones. And on this one, the corners got me. And the corners are pretty rough. So this was a 7.5 on centering, 5.5 on corners, 7 on edges, and 6.5 on surface for a 6 overall. Back looks pretty clean. No real wax staining on there. So the surface getting a 6.5. Oh yeah, this one here, and you can kind of see it even in the light there. There's a mark right here coming down the center. So that's probably what led to the 6 on the surface. Again, yeah, now that I think about it, this is another one that I wanted to send in and see how much that mark affected this. I actually just got another one of these that I'll probably be sending in for grading right here. Looks a little bit cleaner than that one. Got to take it out and take a look at it. It looks like there might be some surface issues on it though as well, so we'll take a look and see. There might be sending that one in as well. But overall, you can see what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get my 50, 51, 52 series locked down. So pretty satisfied with this. 6s across the board on my 51s. Would have been nicer to get a little bit better, but there's my, is this a 51? Nope, that's a 52. So there's my 3 51s, all 3 got 6s. So not too shabby. Okay, next one up, we have a newer card, new in relative terms. This is actually a really tough card to find in good shape. This is a 1963 Topps Don Fleming. For those of you that don't know, Don Fleming is actually in the Browns Ring of Honor. He was, you can see, a safety for the Cleveland Browns. He actually died shortly after Ernie Green died. So everybody, seen the Express knows about Ernie Green. Passed away from leukemia before he ever really got to play a game in the NFL. Don Fleming was actually a safety, and I actually think it was like a week or two after Ernie Davis died. He was working on a crane, I think, with a family member. Something happened, and he ended up getting electrocuted and dying. So he's, again, I think one of the 5 people that's actually in the Browns Ring of Honor. This is the only card made for Mr. Fleming. So that's, I think, part of the reason why this card is so sought after and is very difficult to find in good grade. I've noticed that when it pops up on eBay, it seems like it flies. Like, somebody will put it up there, I'll throw it on my watch list, it'll be up for auction, and then, oh wow, that didn't fit at all. And then amazingly, it will just disappear, which I'm assuming means somebody reached out. This must be in a thicker case or something too, because that does not want to fit in my sleeves. But anyways, I'm assuming that's because somebody reached out and made an offer, and it was accepted. So this one, you can see, got a 6.5 on centering, 5.5 on corners, 6 on edges, and 7 on surface. I knew this wasn't going to get a great grade, but I wanted to send it in, and I also think it looks really good with the CSG label. I think all of the vintage cars look good with the CSG label, though, so I'm, I guess, in the minority when it comes to that. Okay, so 2 more to go, and then we'll get into our cracks and submits. So next one up was a really nice grade I got. One of my higher 1950 Bowman grades. This is a Alex Agassi 7.5 from 1950 Bowman. This is a rookie card. It's got a 9 on centering, 8 on corners, 8.5 on edges, and a 7 on surface. So this is actually a really, really nice card. You can see that this did have, that's not something in the case. This little mark right here is actually on the card. So the fact that that got a 7 on a surface, that's probably what drug it down. If it wasn't for that little mark, this would have probably got an even higher score. Probably would have ended up in the 8.85 range, which would have been really nice. But you can kind of see I was experimenting a little bit with surface grades. So, this obviously, these lines brought it down to a 6.5. That ink mark got me a 7. What was that other one I had that had some lines on it? I think it was one of the first ones. Yeah, this one had that line across the front, brought me down to 4.5. So getting a decent range of, what surface defects are going to result in what grade as wax staining and stuff like that is concerned. So definitely things I'm going to have to look out for as I continue to build my vintage collection. Or, I'm always looking even to upgrade the ones I have. For better copies of the ones I have, if I come across it and it doesn't have the defects that I have on some of these other ones. So overall, I'm very happy with that. Again, a 1950 card in 7.5 near mint plus condition. I'll take that any day of the week. And then my next one up is a 1959 Topps Bobby Mitchell rookie card. This one ended up coming back a 7.5. I knew the centering was off on this one. You can see that. I got a 7 on centering, 8.5 on corners, 8 on edges, and 8 on surface. So this was pretty much, could have been an 8. That centering just got me enough that it took it out of that range. So overall, near mint plus 7.5. Very happy with that. Again, this is for a personal collection, so it's not like the end of the world that this didn't get a super great grade, and this one does not want to fit either. We're not going to force it. Okay, so now we're going to get into our resubs. So as I've mentioned in a couple of my other SGC videos, people have mentioned that they think CSG grades a lot like BVG and BCCG, which in my experience, I don't agree with. But we'll see how it goes. So this very first one I'm going to show, just to get it on the board, I bought this as a BGS 9.5, 1955 Topps All-American West Fessler. This did not have subgrades on it. So you can see that BGS, this is not BVG, this is BGS, gave this an 8.5 near mint plus. And coming back from CSG, we got a 8 near mint. So this one actually ended up grading half a grade lower than BGS. So in terms of these cards grading like BVG would grade, I think this is a good example of how that is not true. Because in this particular case, we graded a half grade lower than BGS. So overall, I think it's a fair grade. I would say that any grading company, plus or minus a half a grade, you can pretty much expect. This got a 7.5 on centering, 8.5 on corners, 8.5 on surface, and a 9 on edges. So that centering is really what got me. And the back centering's pretty far off compared to the front, in my opinion. So that's really what the difference was, I think, between it. Well, it definitely was, because if that centering would have been an 8, I probably would have ended up pulling the 8.5. So there you have it. That's the first one. Great card. I love this. This is that Ohio State logo. Kills me. I'm just so used to seeing the old Buckeye leaf and the O. Seeing that old Ohio State logo makes me laugh. Okay, next card up we'll go with the BVG stuff first. We'll save that one for last. So this first one I bought from BCCG. It was a 8 excellent or better. Now, worth noting that excellent or better and 8 normally means near mint. In this case, it meant excellent or better. And this one came back an 8. So in this particular case, it ended up matching the BGGS grade. Now, people will say, oh, see, I told you so. Grade's just like BCCG. Well, okay, yeah, that's true. In this particular case, it did. This got an 8 on centering, 8 on corners, 8.5 on edges, and 8.5 on surface. I think it's a fair grade. But in this case, it did end up grading exactly like it did from BCCG. But the other one graded a half a point less than BGS. So I don't really think it proves anything. And this one doesn't want to go in this either. But there you have it. We got a 8 and an 8. So in this case, it matched. Now, the counterpoint to that is this next card. They did not grade. I bought this as a BCCG 7, 1951 Bowman Ken Carpenter. And this card was actually returned back to me as altered on the lower right corner. So if we pull this bad boy out, let's go ahead and pull this out and see. And I would have to take a look. So they're saying that this lower right corner has evidence of alteration. I would have to look at it probably under a microscope or as a scan so I can get an idea or a feel for what this actually is. I mean, you can see it has some surface staining, so I really wasn't expecting it to get a 7 even if they did grade it. But it is nice that they do send this along with it. So they're saying basically this lower corner, they're saying, has some type of alteration or restoration. So I'll have to take a look, see if I can see any evidence of, recoloring. Maybe there was some staining going on down there and somebody touched it up. I don't know. So we'll take a look at it. But overall, so one BCCG came back graded an 8, and the next one came back altered. Now, I will say, I'm not going to get into it too much in this. I have had 3 cards returned to me from... Oh, wow. Now I'm looking at that. I think it has a big old crease right in the middle of it. Oh, wow. How the hell did I miss that? I don't know if you guys can see that. Yeah, there you go. Look at that. That has a big-ass crease right in the middle of it. So how that even came back a BCCG 7, I have no idea. So actually, I'm probably pretty glad they didn't grade that, because they would have got a terrible grade with that big-ass crease in it. But anyways, I'll take a look at that, and if once I figure out what it is, I'll make sure to post a video and let you guys know what I end up finding there. But I did think it was interesting that BCCG actually encapsulated what CSG is saying is a trimmed or restored card. But like I said, I have had 3 of these returned back. The first one I sent to SGC, which returned to me as an A for authentic for trimming. So they were right on that one. And the second one I got back pretty much said it was questionable authenticity. And I did some testing on it, and it is in fact not authentic. So this is the 3rd time I've gotten something back saying there was either alteration or an authentication problem, and so far they've been right on the other 2 that I've looked into. So BCCG, a little bit mixed results there. This one came back an 8, this one came back as altered. So interesting nonetheless. And then the last card here I bought and cracked. It was a 1959 Topps Cleveland Browns team card. You can see this is an old SGC label. They graded it an 88, which was a near mint 8 overall, and this came back an 8.5 from CSG. So an 8 on centering, 8.5 on corners, 8.5 on edges, and a 9 on surface. So pretty much roughly the same grade, near mint plus. This got a little bit higher than what it got from SGC back in the day. But I'd kind of go with the plus or minus a half a grade rule. So anything that's plus or minus a half a grade from any grading company, I don't put a whole lot of stock into. As to oh, one's better than the other, blah blah blah. They must have started using a thicker. I'm gonna have to look into that. Maybe a little bit thicker case on everything. So overall, I'm pretty happy. That's the last card I've got. As far as resubs, SGC 88.8 versus an 8, and then the BGS Wes Fezler coming in at a 8 versus an 8.5. BCCG 8 and an 8, and then a trimmed card versus a 7. So overall, I'd say my initial thoughts are the CSG grades like BVG, BCCG, I would say this is not necessarily supported. In this particular case, we got half a grade lower, half a grade higher, same grade, and altered card. So I will be sending in some more to keep testing this theory out. I've actually got a whole bunch of PSA cards, which I know I'm going to say that I am going to crack PSA cards to send to CSG. So all you PSA lovers out there, hold on to yourselves. It's okay. Some people are going to do that. So I'll be putting those results out there as well to see how CSG stands up to PSA from a grading perspective. But overall, I'd say I'm very happy. From a timing perspective, these guys have gotten a lot better. I think things have settled down a little bit. I think whenever they first came out and they had that $8 no subgrade bulk option out there, everybody went haywire and submitted everything in. It was probably not such a great idea for them to do that. Once they raised the prices and the times kind of got out of control because of it, people seemed to settle down on CSG, and now things are getting back in order. So right now I think you can pay for the Express, I want to say it's like 10 days, which the last one I sent came back right in 10 days. Actually, I think it came back a little earlier. Standard, like I said, is right around 30 days right now. And their economy, I want to say, is right around 60. And then their bulk is, still way out there, probably like 6 months or something like that. But at $12 a card, if you're not getting subgrades, which, sorry, if you're getting CSG, you should be getting subgrades. But even still, at $20 a card, 6 month roughly turnaround time, I'd say that's pretty average comparatively. I think the only other person you can get that kind of turnaround time with is maybe HGA. I think their 6 month or their 60 day is supposed to come back in at $25. And then CSG, I know you can, with some group subbers, you can get in for $25. They're actually way lower than 6 months, but I just hate the SGC slab, so I choose CSG over that. So anyways, I think it was a pretty good submission. I think I learned a lot in how CSG grades with this order, so I can be a lot more selective on the cards I send in the future. And like I said, I plan on getting a lots of this like data consolidated for myself, and I'll be sharing that with you guys on the group. As far as what to look for with these vintage cards as you send them in the CSG, if you want to do something similar to what I'm doing. And I'm going to be sending them in kind of in groups by year as I try to flesh out my collection to kind of show you guys what I'm doing there as well. So thanks for watching. If you enjoy the content, please hit the subscribe button. Look me up on Facebook, give me a like the video, and I will talk to you guys next time. Thanks a lot.